Welcome to this important video. In this video, we are going to learn the syntax of Python. Syntax means structure of Python, that how to write the programming language. There are some common rules or some common formatting methods that are to be followed to write program, and it is the first step of any programming language. Whenever you are going to learn any programming language like Python or any other language, then you need to familiar with its syntax first of all, because if you will get familiar with its syntax, then you will easily learn the next steps as well. First step in learning the syntax of Python is to define the variable or to declare the variable. So there is no need to define the variable or to define the type like other programming languages. For example, in if you are working in C++, then first of all you define the type of variable. But in Python, you do not define the type of variable. You have no need to define its type. A variable will always consider its type by default, and you have no need to define the type. What will you do? Direct move to the next step, that you will declare the variable, which means that you will store the value in it. For example, if you are using a variable with name x, then you will direct store a value in it, and due to this reason it will consider by default that for which type is x. So in this way, you will define the variable and it will automatically consider its type as integer because we have stored an integer value in it. For example, if you are storing 2.34 in x, then it will automatically consider it as float variable because its value is in points form. We can cross check it as well from our software. For example, I have opened my Python software and I can check it here. For example, I store a value 10 in x, and for that I have no need to follow any hard and fast rule. I will directly put x is equal to 10, and in this way I can check the type of x, and I will type and I will write x, and I can see here it is displayed that its class is integer, which means it is from integer type. For example, I store another value, I store it 3.456 in it, and then I check type x. I will see here that its type is by default stored in it and it is float. So in this way we have no need to define the type of variable and it will consider it by default. Okay, we will move on next to the common Python syntax. So first of all, we must be familiar about identifier. Identifier means it is the name which is used to identify a variable or any function or class or module. And a common way to write the name of any variable or function is that we use an alphabetic letter, and we can also use an underscore in it. Okay, and we can also use digits in it, but we cannot use any special character like at, dollar sign, slash, or percentage sign within a variable name, within an identifier. Another important thing is that we must be familiar with it that Python is case sensitive, which means if you are using capital A is equal to 10, then it does not mean that small a is equal to capital A, but small a is something different and capital A is something different. So this is common Python syntax, and hopefully you will have clear about it. Okay, next thing is that Python has reserved keywords. Reserved keywords mean that these are special words which are understood by compiler or interpreter. For example, they are stored for specific purpose and you cannot store any value in it. For example, we use that a common keyword is if, which is used for if condition in Python programming, and you cannot write if is equal to 5 in your Python program because this if is used for a specific task in Python. So these words are called reserved words, and you cannot use these words for storing value in those variables. For example, we know that while is used as loop or else is used in if as well. So you cannot write else is equal to 3 You cannot store any value in a variable with name else because it is already reserved for a special purpose. Okay, next thing is the use of quotations. For example, if you are using Python language and you are using quotations, then you must be clear that quotations are used for a specific purpose. They are used to store anything which is related to string. So what is string? String means I use a like sentence or word which should be displayed as it is, or a combination of alphabetic or any other words or sentence. And for example, we have already checked that there are different types of variables or data which is used in variables. So if you want to store a value in variable a is equal to book, then you cannot store book in it as it is. You need to use quotation before or end of this value, because it is not a number, it is not an integer. Anything other than integer is called string, and that is written always in single quotation or double quotation as well. For example, let me cross check it from our program, Python program, so that you get clear in it. For example, you can check it here. I use a variable a and I want to store it book in it, but it is not stored because it is not a number. It will not stored in this form. I must use another method. I will use quotation in start of book, and at end of book it will store now. And I can also check its type. I will type use a in bracket, and I can see here a class is shown which is called string. So in this way we can use single quotation as well, or not only single quotation, we can also use double quotation as well. And we can see here again its type, it is again string. So in this way we will always store string relevant data in single quotation or double quotation. Okay, next we move on to the next part. So if you are using comments, whenever you are using programming languages and you are writing a programs, you always need comments in every language, every programming language. And for that purpose in Python you need to use the hash sign. Whenever you are writing a program, then you will need to use the hash sign before any comment which you are writing, because hash sign will show the start of comment, and as soon as it will end, then it means that your comment is ended. And the interpreter will just ignore this statement, and this statement will be ignored, and due to this reason hash sign will be considered as the comment. It will not be executed by the interpreter. Okay, next is block representation. In some languages, whenever you are using, like for example, you are using a condition if, and if this condition is true, then this block should be executed. So we use brackets in some languages to display the block, but in many languages we do not use brackets. In Python we use spaces. For example, if you use single space in front in start of three lines, then it means they are all a single block. And if you use double space in the start of other lines, then it means they are relevant to another block. So in this way, the number of spaces are showing some blocks and that are executed at once in a program. So anyhow, this part you will get clear in next lectures, whenever you will get learn about if conditions, loop conditions, then you will get expert in it and be familiar with it. The next is multiple statement. If you want to store many statements in a line and you want to execute it, for example, we can store a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, c is equal to 4. These are multiple statements and these are written in separate in each in different line. But if you want to use it in a single line, then you can use semicolon at the end and you can write all these statements in a single line. So this they all will be executed by interpreter as they are in each in a different line. So this is a way to use all the multiple statements in a single line, that you will use semicolon at the end of each statement. So this was about Python syntax, and it was very important video. Hopefully you will clear it in it. And if you have any question, then you can ask in comments. Otherwise, please leave your valuable feedback so that we can improve for you as